Another day, another intro. Let's see who we can find this time.
Top of the morning to you, ladies. My name is Jacksepticeye and welcome back to...
I could do that.
Top of the morning to you.
I'm kidding.
Top of the morning to you, ladies. My name is Matt Shull. Today, we're learning...
What are we learning? I forgot what the video... What is this video about again?
Top of the morning to you, ladies. My name is Matt Shull. Today, we're getting a mannequin to twerk using a Midi controller.
Okay, so if you've been watching over on the Twitch channel, you know that our Stuart character, Mannequin, that we have running around can twerk for 50 bits. In this video, we're gonna talk about how I got that to happen. We're gonna break the video down into 3 different parts. The first part is gonna be talking about how to get a Mixamo animation into Unreal Engine and retarget it for the mannequin skeleton. The second part, we'll talk about how to discover the Midi devices that your computer has access to and how to determine which one to target to start listening to that input. And then the third part, we're gonna talk about how to get everything hooked up so that when you click a Midi controller button, it will trigger off that animation for the mannequin. All right, so the first thing we want to do is get a Mixamo animation. There is a Mixamo converter that's very, very useful. I'm going to link it in the description. You'll go to the URL, you'll download this. Make sure to note the password. You're going to need this to unzip the file. When you unzip the file, go in the folder, you'll see this SK mannequin file. We're going to use that on Mixamo's website. So now let's go to Mixamo, and here make sure to log in first so that you can download things. The thing that we used, I typed in Twerk. Yeah. So you can go to the animation, whatever animation that you want, and go over here to the right side and make sure to click upload character, select character file, and then we will just go to our Mixamo converter file and select that SK mannequin file. Once you've uploaded that file, you can click next and next. Now, once that's uploaded, you'll see that it has the mannequin that's doing the motion, the animation that you want. In our case, he is twerking. Now, what we want to do is to download, and we want to make sure that under skin, we use without skin. And under keyframe reduction, you want to use uniform. Make sure that those are set properly and then click download. All right, so you can see down here, this gives us our dancing twerk FBX file. Pull up the downloads folder so you can see that, and also pull up the Mixamo converter folder. We're going to drag the FBX file into the initial folder, and you're going to open up Mixamo converter and go ahead and hit that button. The animations have been converted and moved to the completed folder. And if we go into the completed folder, you'll see that there's now a 3D object file that we can use for Unreal Engine. So now I'm going to launch Unreal Engine 5, the early access edition. We're going to start with a brand new project. We'll go with the third person starter kit here. And I'm just going to make this to scalable. And I'm going to name the project Midi tutorial. Once the project is pulled up, you can hit Control Space to bring up the content tab here. I'm gonna go under Mannequin, and I'm gonna go into our completed folder for the Mixamo converter, drag this into here, and now it's gonna ask for some options. So what we're gonna do first is select the mannequin skeleton for the skeleton. We're going to go under the advanced options of animation. We want to make sure import meshes and bone hierarchy is marked as true. We want to use the default sample rate. You can turn off import custom attribute, and you want to make sure that import bone tracks is true, and that these two down here delete existing morph target curves and do not import curves with only 0 values. Make sure that those are false. The last part of this, you want to go down to the z-axis here and make this -9. You may have to tweak this a little bit. If you don't do this, it'll look like that the animation is causing the mannequin to float around. For this particular animation, -9 is a really good number, but you may need to tweak it to -7 or -12, depending on the type of animation that you're using. And then we can hit import. And after that, bring this back up, and you can see we have our animation in here, and also he is looking like he is on the ground and not floating above. So we'll go ahead and save that. And the next thing we want to do is get out of there, and we're gonna right click on our animation, and we are going to create an animation montage out of it. And I'm just gonna call this Twerking montage. All right, so first let's go into the blueprint of our third person character here. You can do this with any character. But under the event graph, we are going to create a custom event. So add custom event. I'm just going to call it Twerk. And when we do that, we're going to pull that out and do play anim montage. And it will target self, and we will click this little asset viewer. You'll see our twerking montage there. Once we have that, we can save it. Then if we back out of that and we go under blueprints, let's open up our level blueprint. We'll type in, right click, type in keyboard T for twerk, I guess. After you have that, come over here into your, on the right side here with all your assets, drag the third person character in. And from here, we'll do call the twerk event and do that when it's pressed, hit compile and save. So if we go into the mannequin and we go to animations, we have our animation blueprint here. We need to open this up, go to our animation graph here, and in here, we need to also add the default slot as well. And now we compile, save, and play it again. Now if we go in and press T, we get our twerking animation. What? All right, so it's a new day, and we are going today to start with the MIDI part of this tutorial. So the first thing that we want to do is go into the plugin section, and under MIDI, we want to enable this, hit yes, because we are sure, and go ahead and hit restart now, and it'll restart the project. Now, if you like me, you probably have multiple MIDI devices connected to your computer. I have 3 different ones. The thing about MIDI is that it can only be listened to by one application actively at a time. And so you want to make sure that the MIDI device that you want to use with Unreal Engine to trigger off anything that you want to happen is not being used by other software that's running on your computer. So I'm using a Korg NanoPad 2. I'll pop it up on the screen here, and I'll leave a link in the description where you can buy it. But this would work with any MIDI device. So what we're going to do first is actually discover the MIDI device ID and see which of the IDs match the NanoPad 2. And then from there, we'll start working on the custom event to trigger off the animation. All right, so what we're gonna do first is go into blueprints and open up the level blueprint. Over here, let's do event begin play. And then we'll pull this out, and I'm gonna add a sequence node for later. Then let's go here, pull this out and do find all MIDI device info. And then from there, we're going to do a for each loop. I'll scroll in, and the out MIDI input devices, we're going to attach that to the array. Then let's take the array element and do MIDI, break MIDI device info. We are going to pull this out and do a print string. And then let's do device name pinned. I'm going to add one more pin, put a dash there, and then do the device ID here. And then the return value should go into that print string. So let's compile and save this. One more thing, I'm gonna pull this down, and I'm gonna make the duration 10 seconds so it stays on screen longer. Compile and save. And now if we were to press play, you'll see over here, my Nano control is on number 3, NanoPad is number 2, and USB MIDI is number 1. So we want device ID number 2. So let's go back into the level blueprint. And the second sequence pin, I'm gonna bring down, I'm gonna do Midi input, create Midi device input controller. If we zoom in here, we want to change this device ID to be 2 so that it targets the NanoPad 2. Then let's right click on the return variable and promote it to a variable. We'll name this to Midi input. And we need to do this because the garbage collection of Unreal Engine sometimes drops this value of taking the input. So we set it as a variable so that it's always remembered. And then we can go from here, and you want to do bind event on Midi note. And then you'll just connect this here, and we'll pull this out, and we want to create an event. Now from here, go to select function, and we want to create a matching event. And I'm just going to do this on Midi note. So what we've done here, we're going to comment this, create the on Midi note function. So whenever the device that we've set has some sort of input, it's going to trigger off this event. And now what we need to do is make it so that when I press a specific button on the Midi input controller, it's going to trigger off that animation montage. So the first thing you want to do is, let's just create a print string. We need to figure out what the note is that on the Midi input. So I'll connect this, and I'm going to attach note to the input. And again, I'm just going to change the duration to 10 seconds, and let's compile and save. Minimize this for a second. Now, if we hit play, you'll see that when I hit a button on my Midi controller, it's giving me the note that we want to use. So specifically, I want to do number 37. So let's hit stop, go back into our level blueprint. And now what we need to do is create, get rid of this. Now we pull this out and do switch on int. And this is a little bit tedious, but you're going to connect the note to the selection. And then for us, we need to, since it's number 37, we have to add pins until we get to number 37. All right, so you can see that we've created 37 pins here. And now what we're gonna do is where we have our keyboard input, we can actually get rid of that, and we can move this down over to here, zoom back in, and when the 37 note is clicked, we want to trigger off that event. And let's compile and save, go out of this. If we hit play, we can see that when I press the button, it triggers off that animation. All right, and then to get this working for MetaHumans, we need to go into content, go to Quexel Bridge. Once that loads, you can go to your MetaHumans and go ahead and just download whatever MetaHuman you want to add to your project. All right, we've got our MetaHuman imported into our project. Let's pull him out and put him into the project. Now that we've got him in our project, let's go ahead and I'm going to edit, and up in class settings, let's set this to be a character so that it will run our animation montage later. We'll compile and save. Next, we want to, we'll click on him again. Let's go down to the body. And right here on skeletal mesh, double click on that. Let's go to the skeleton for our MetaHuman, select humanoid rig, and I'll make this bigger for us. You want to make sure that everything is aligned. Here on the spine, let's select spine 2. On spine 2, we want spine 3. On spine 3, we want spine 4. That just aligns with the mannequin skeleton a lot better. Everything else should be the same, so we can save that. We also want to go into, let's go to our third person character go to the skeletal mesh, go to skeleton, and also here we want to make sure that select humanoid rig is selected for the mannequin skeleton too. And everything should align. We don't have to change anything there. Now, if we go to our third person animation blueprint, we pull that up. We can right click on this, hit retarget animation blueprints, and our MetaHuman skeleton will show up there. We're just gonna make a suffix of _ MetaHuman. And I'm going to change the folder to be under the MetaHumans common and hit retarget. Now, if we go into MetaHumans common, you'll see that the animation for our third person character is also set here. If we click on our MetaHuman here and we go to the body component, we want to select use animation blueprint, and we'll select the one that has MetaHuman by it. You'll see that the hands are a little bit weird, and that is because I have another video that I'll link in the description and in the corners. You have to fix the hands just a little bit. So go ahead and take a look at that video on how to do that. Now let's go to our mannequin folder. I'm gonna right click on this, retarget the animation assets to the MetaHuman base skeleton. Again, gonna put _ MetaHuman as our suffix, and I'm gonna change it to go to the MetaHuman common folder and hit retarget. And now you'll see that we have our animation here, and we want to right click on our twerking animation and create animation montage. This will create the MetaHuman twerking montage. And if we go to our body component, go into our third person animation blueprint for the MetaHuman. Now we'll select the default slot. Go ahead and put that there, compile and save. We can go to our edit BP Omar, and we're gonna create a custom event called Twerking MetaHuman. Okay, this next step is actually very important, and the video is gonna be edited, heavily edited, because I kept tripping up on this one thing. Make sure that when you come out here, you do play montage and not play animation montage like we used for the mannequin. The reason being is because you have to target the body. Since our animation blueprint is on the body component, we have to pass the body skeletal mesh component in and then select this. And it's also nice because it'll have like on completed, so you can, go do other things after this montage is completed. But yeah, make sure you use play montage, not play anim montage for MetaHuman. All right, so to recap, we have our edit blueprint on our event graph. We've got our custom event where we're doing play montage. In our animation blueprint, we've passed along default slot, just like we did with the other mannequin. And if we go into our open level blueprint, I'm actually going to make it so that when note 38 is clicked on the MIDI input controller, it should make the mannequin and also the MetaHuman do the twerking animation at the same time. And let's save all of this. I'm going to play. I'll eject so we can see both of them. And yeah, let's press the button. Hey, there we go. Check it out. So we have our MetaHuman here twerking in the background. That is That is nice. All right, and that's how to get a mannequin and a MetaHuman to twerk on command when you hit a Midi button. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Also, if you haven't joined us over on Twitch, make sure to hit us up there, twitch.tv/MattShull. Also on Discord, we've got a lot of people sharing their projects, what they're doing with MetaHumans and just Unreal Engine in general. So make sure to join the Discord. I really appreciate the support, and we'll see you in the next video.